What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to T3G. My name is Dalibor, and today is Social Sunday. We're going to be talking about a few things that people have asked, and we're also going to be kind of catching up on what's going on the channel. This week has been pretty successful overall as far as the videos. Thursday was a little poor planning, decent for what it was. I wanted it to be more of a kind of explore local thing, but it was a scouting mission. So now we figured out a cool place where we can go and film an explore local episode. Now let's go ahead and take a look at some of these questions here on ye trusty old Google Pixel 2 and see what people want to know. Because this week, y'all actually asked some stuff, and I appreciate that. We'll kick things off with, now that you're almost half a month in, what are your thoughts and doing daily after January? Here's the thing. I don't think daily is practical for this type of content. For vlogging, it does make more sense, but it is not particularly good for kind of thematic content, especially with the kind of themes that we've got is a tech review, and especially kind of niche down to specifically camera gear, production gear. Now granted, I do have 3 new pieces of tech that I picked up that are specifically production gear, so that's fun, and I will have those reviewed. But at some point I'm gonna run out, right? At some point it's gonna turn into something else. What this also gives me an opportunity to do is present other things, not necessarily from a production perspective, but do a little more production in the review. For instance, I've had this idea for probably 4 months now when I saw Brian G. Johnson's video where he talked about, oh, the tech YouTubers are all talking about like the latest, greatest stuff. And I literally saw it and I was like, I should do a video about like the oldest piece of tech I've got. And just kind of talk about, and I've got like a whole idea of how I'm gonna do it. And it's gonna be kind of just like, I'm gonna show that clip and show myself watching it and be like, I've got it. And then I'm gonna whip out like this old, I've got an old ass laptop, and that's what I'm gonna do a review about. So like, I had an idea of kind of like more entertaining things, not so much for the sake of, oh, this is a tech review, but more so for the storytelling aspect of it and kind of the presentation. In essence, everything is practice on doing a really cool video and presenting information in an entertaining way. Storytelling. The other flip side of doing daily is also that, man, it's a lot of work, realistically, especially if you have something that requires any sort of editing. The camera review, for instance, while it doesn't look like there was a lot of editing, it actually took a lot of shooting because it was cold outside, so I was having to stop because I was freezing. It took a long time to actually film it, so by the time I got back, I had to kind of scramble to get it done. So there's a whole different aspect to it. Again, I think if you're full-time and that's your only thing, there's plenty of time. I work 1 a.m. to noon basically, and I get off, I take care of the dogs, I feed myself, and it's 3 o'clock by the time I can leave, and at which point it's getting colder, it's darker, my shooting time shrinks, and then by the time I get a lot of the shots that I need, I still need to do B-roll, which is why you saw the B-roll wasn't outside, also because it was cold, really, really cold. So just like all of that put together, by the time it's 8, 9 o'clock at night is when I'm finally putting the video out. Realistically, for algorithm and for all that other stuff, that's not good. It's also just not good for time, because then it's spent the whole day doing one thing. And if that was my full-time job, that'd be great, because I could dedicate 8 hours to it every single day and still have dinner with my wife. Whereas with this, I did end up having dinner with my wife, but then that pushed my editing to like 9, 10 o'clock. It all really plays in together. So I don't think I'll be going daily here. I actually think that my plan after January is going to be to go 3 times a week. So there'll be 3 videos. They won't necessarily be always the same 3. So it won't necessarily be a tech video. It won't necessarily be, right? Tech videos will probably be the ones that are most consistent, but 3 is what I'm gonna be doing, because then that gives me time to do editing, right? Then I can go and shoot at like that windmill. Like, that's such a cool location. I would love to be able to go there at sunset and film the whole thing, but it's gonna be super cold and it's an hour away. Like, that was, the fact that I got that out as fast as I did, like I ended up sleeping only 3 hours before work, but I still got it done. But that's my point, is I can go and film that, week 1 or day 1, go film it, get all the footage that I need, and then edit it the next day, and then whenever. And if it's Doesn't matter like how long it takes because I can put it out on a Thursday. It doesn't need to be that same day or that same Thursday. I feel like it was a really long-winded answer to a essentially simple question. Am I in focus? I think we're good. The next question comes from WeAgent007. How did you learn to edit when you started with zero video editing knowledge and basics of filming? I just did it. Honestly, I actually looked for this. I'm gonna show you this. So this is my first, ignore the fact that the actual files aren't there. Yeah, it's just cut. You just figure out what the tools are. I think that actually had text. Wow, shocking. Yeah, no, you figure out what the tools are. I mean, my whole thing was, I don't need them anymore. These are not even there, but when you open Premiere, for instance, the tools are listed right there. I think it's the same for Final Cut. They're not there, but they're like right about around here somewhere. You really just gotta do it. Like, there's not really a simple answer. Obviously tons of resources, especially now. I think back then there were very, very few resources. I honestly think that was my first video that I like put together, and everything that could have gone wrong did. I ran out of batteries, I ran out of like everything. Every camera died, I ran out of space. I then I had this old Acer laptop. I turned the laptop around, I faced both of us, I hit record. It's not an exact science when you're just starting out. You're just trying to do it, just trying to get it done. Because you saw the 2009 clip was, I literally think it was my 2009 would have been, what phone was that? I don't even think that was a smartphone. No, it was a, hold on. It was a Samsung Black, it was a Blackjack. Samsung Blackjack. Maybe 2? Maybe not even the 2, maybe the 1. And it was just like it was this thing. Ridiculous. I loved it though. It had Windows XP basically. It had like a Windows mobile version. Yeah, it really, I think now there's so many more options and there's so many things. I mean, there are services that will just do it for you. This was the weirdest thing. I randomly did it by accident while I was recording on the SL1. It just has a mode where it will just record shit for you. Like whatever you record, it'll take like a 10-second clip. And when you're done and you exit out of that mode, it just turns that into a video. And it's just one file with whatever clips, does the cutting for you. So the cut is however long, like whatever you can shoot in that time. And I think that's super cool for people starting out, because then it just lets you get some stuff and then you don't have to worry about editing. You just have this video file that's essentially cut for you. Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of tools. Obviously, cell phones, tons of tools. It's not as complex as I think you might think it is. It really is just a matter of starting, like record, and if you do want to edit it, if you want to play around with editing, you know, there's thousands of tutorials. If you don't have a paid software, you could always use a free software. There's tons of them. There are way more options 10 years later than there were 10 years ago when I started. So I think you'll be all right. What inspires you to do what you enjoy, as in creating content? I just like doing this stuff. I need inspiration for things like going to the gym. I really do. Because of this, I've had a shitty time management week, so I haven't gone to the gym the whole week. I'm literally gonna finish this and go, but I don't need inspiration for this. I need maybe to slow down a little bit, maybe plan things out a little better, i.e. Thursday, because I'm just like, grab the camera, let's fucking go. And sometimes you want to plan things out. I mean, I think a great example is the beta short that we did. For me, I was ready to roll. I was like, stand up against this wall, let's film you, and we'll just do like a classic truth style thing, right? Like how betas affected your life or whatever. I was like, oh, that's fucking stupid. Like, that sounds boring as shit. And I was like, no. He's like, why don't you like plan it out? And my wife was like, storyboards, because she took like a film class or something at some point, and there were like storyboards. So now every time I say something, she's like, you gonna storyboard that? I'm like, no, I'm just gonna fucking film it. We're gonna move on with our lives. So that's kind of the difference between me and my wife. We then like thought about it for 20 minutes because that's kind of how we brainstorm. Like he elevated my concepts and then we figured it out, and then I went out and shot it, and we shot it there. But in the end, I honestly think it came out really good. So it takes a little bit of everything. It takes a little bit of the action and a little bit of planning. But yeah, no, I think honestly, as far as like inspiration, it's just I really enjoy it. I just really like storytelling. I like him playing around with these like different concept videos where I just like talk about some shit for a while, but then I'm like, well, that's just boring me just sitting here. So I want to like present it in a different fashion, and just like that whole process, super fun to me. Next, what equipment do you typically use for your videos? Well, right now I'm using a Canon M10. We have obviously the SL1, literally just said it 3 minutes ago. It's just my brain, that's where my brain is at. I have a 70D. The 70D is like my typical like floating head videos because I set it up. That's where my my absolute best recommendation to anyone wanting to do any sort of video. There's reasons why this can't focus right now, and we're just gonna leave it at that. That is a Tacform Enduro arm, well, several arms put together. But that's how strong it is, right? Here, I'll show you guys. The 70D is packed with the double, jeez, the brightness. It's got the battery grip, right? It's got the battery grip. So it's got an extra battery. It's got the extra plastic. It fits, I mean, I can just put it on. Is it? Yeah, it is perfect. Obviously, it does a little bounce, but then you just stabilize it, and it doesn't move. I can leave it there forever and it would never move. I've actually had the same thing on a shorter version of the arm, just horizontal, and it stayed there for months. I can't talk. But yeah, 70D, the M10. For mic work, the Zoom H1 is still the go-to. I'm actually thinking about picking up a new to make sure that I actually have dual coverage just in case, you know, for the trip for filming with Matthew. On occasion, if I absolutely need something, I'll always, I mean, like, it's a 4-year-old phone now? I don't even remember. No, I guess it's 2.5. And a lot of phones come out very often. Yeah, it's about a 2.5-year-old phone, the Pixel 2, but it still takes great footage. I think it actually has 120 at 720p. It's useful. It's useful in a pinch. And then for action cam stuff, so like the lights, when I was at the Morton Arboretum, I had the AEE, and that was in one of these. And this thing, honestly, tell me if I'm wrong, guys. It did way better in the dark than I was expecting it to, especially with like the lights and even like seeing the sky. Granted, obviously, a lot of grain. It's not like a huge sensor. There's a lot of reasons why I had problems. But that you could see the like projected lights in the sky moving around, that's impressive for this tiny little thing. For $24? No, $34. I lied, $34. For $34 and even 60. The full price I think was 60 or 69. Like I think 70 bucks for this thing is reasonable. Fucking reasonable. I guess I'm cursing now, whatever. No, yeah, I mean, I'm kind of whatever. I will do whatever it takes. I started with a little, what was the model? 160 SL, PowerShot 160 SL or something like that. It was just like I think I reviewed it. It's one of the earliest videos. It's sturdy, tell you that. We lost the backup battery door. It had a backup battery door. It fell and it got lost because Dino dropped the camera. And that's just the thing that I had to deal with. So yeah, I mean, really, it's kind of whatever does the job. But yeah, that's my current gear. I've got, like I said, some new pieces as far as additional stuff, some lighting and things like that. But for lights, I've literally got just like daylight LEDs in my overheads. They are like swivel head. I don't know if this is gonna work at all. Can we ND filter this? There we go. They are like swivel heads, so I can move those around and set them to whatever is necessary. And as far as like tripod, I've got the little Gorilla Pod knockoff thing, which all the stuff obviously linked below. I've got also the videos linked below I think I talked about most of this stuff, so you can see kind of the in-depth stuff. But for positioning, I also will use whatever is around. Right now, this tripod is sitting on several PS3 and Xbox 360 games, or Xbox One games, actually both. So yeah, that's just kind of to get at the lift. Otherwise I'd be looking down at the camera. It looks weird. And finally, is creating videos the main thing you knew you wanted to do from when you were a wee lad, or is this something that developed over time from other creative outlets? you know, I actually was talking to my therapist about this recently. I realized, and it took me a long time, it took a very, very long time to realize exactly what I wanted to do. There were periods of my life where I was like, oh, I'm gonna do computer programming or whatever. It just like, I had literally, I mean, this is the funniest part. When I went to college, I went for computer science. Yeah, I think that was my like generic degree, my computer science degree. Before the end of the first semester, I had seen a second year student in the same program walking in from like 3 or 4 hours in class, like normal, like 2 or 3 classes, came back, it was noon, let's say. He went to his room with a case of beer, he like, gotta work on this programming problem. He was in there 10 straight hours, came out, stumbling, drunk, but he figured it out. I was like, I never wanna be that guy, ever. Never, I have no interest in that life path. Could that have been, I mean, first of all, that would have been a way more lucrative life path for me. I would be, I think, way better monetarily, but I just really, that just turned me off to the idea of it. I still like coding. I actually, like 6 months later, not even 6 months later, like 3 months later, my roommate and my buddy both were in the same class and they were trying to figure out this code they were doing. We spent 4 or 5 hours just hunting through this code, like digging through all this code they had written to figure out the one thing. I think if memory serves, it was like a parentheses that was missing. It was like a double parentheses situation and one was missing. It was thrown off the entire thing. And that's kind of what coding is. Had a blast. It was fucking fun. It was so good. But I was just like, I don't want to do this every day. I don't want to do this every single day. And just, no. I had just, that like cemented my position. But that second semester, I like went through several things where I was like, no, you know what, I'm gonna switch my major. And then I was gonna switch my major to math for some reason, because I actually do enjoy math. One of my favorite shows of all time was Numbers. When it ended, I was actually sad, which has never happened before. Like when a series ends, I'm usually happy or I'm mad because it's over too soon or it's canceled or whatever. But with Numbers, I was genuine. I was like, oh, I want more. I just want more of, like, just like give me more of these episodes. So I genuinely enjoy mathematics. Not a lot of people say that, but I like looked through the classes and I was like, it's a lot of work. And then I was kind of looking at like careers and I'm like, I don't want to be a teacher. I think I'd be a terrible teacher, realistically. But then I was like, oh, you know what I'm gonna do? I'll go into journalism. And I think that's like the first spark of that storytelling thing. But then I was like, nah, like there's a lot of work. Like journalism is like a thing. Like you gotta just be that forever. I don't think you could be a journalist and then be like, nah, I'm gonna go into, you know, something else. I think like, who knows? Maybe I could have been Philip DeFranco, you know? I don't know. And then I was even like, oh, I'm gonna do English. And then my friend who was going into English and she was in the program already was like learning Latin and shit. And I was like, nah, that's too much. And then I got kicked out of school anyway. And then one day my friend was like, oh, like my coworker was leaving work. And he was like, oh, it's my last day, blah, blah. He's like, I got my degree. He's like, I got my degree in web design and like, what was it? Web design and multimedia. I think that's what it's called. It was web design and multimedia. And I looked at him and I was like, they give degrees out in that shit? Because I've been doing that for years. Like the first time someone showed me I could do a website, I made like X-Men fan websites. I think some of them are still alive, like through, you know, back channels and paths. But like, I was like, that's easy, that's simple. Like I could do that all day. And that's kind of when I started playing around with graphics, and Photoshop was like, Photoshop was the enemy. I was using Jask Paint Shop Pro before it was even bought by Corel. Jask Paint Shop Pro, bootlegged of course, because I didn't have any money. I am just bootlegged on dial-up. Let's be serious here, folks. Be serious. Bootlegged on dial-up. I had patience back then. Patience, with infinite patience. But eventually it was just kind of like working to stay alive, and I really didn't think about it a lot. We formed like an informal company where we were talking about like, oh, some shit we wanted to make, and we were gonna make these comics, and like it didn't really go anywhere. We were just conceptualizing a lot of stuff. We spent a lot of time developing things like Wolfpack, which I'll link below the Facebook page for that, which does have its first script for the first 6-issue arc. that's like a thing that's like next in line for me. That took 8 years of development, but like, not like consistent, but there was no prioritization for it. It was just like, oh, like comes up in my head and I'm just gonna do some writing and come up with some stuff, and there's a ton. I mean, that's a rich universe already up here. So anyway, that's kind of where, like, in developing that, I started writing a comic book series when I was in 8th grade. I created a very original character called the White Spider. Just saying. May or may not have been patterned after the Spider-Man of the time, and actually ends up looking like a Spider-Man version of the Anti-Venom, which you're welcome, Marvel, for putting that into the universe. You know, I'm just saying, you can get a brother a cut. But that's kind of always been in the background. Like, the storytelling stuff has always been in the background, and I never formulated it, right? I was never thinking about doing that, like that was the thing. And most recently, it all kind of synced up, and I was like, I want to do storytelling. Like, I want to tell stories. Like, that's the thing I want to do. I mean, hell, the length this is taken is storytelling. I'm telling you this whole backstory to give you context. And like, I have a novel, I actually got like 2, but the second one is like a complex collaboration thing with Dan. It's a big thing. I'm gonna need like a writer to write it, and I'm gonna just tell him the stuff. I'm gonna give him the beats. But I'm just saying, like, I have a lot of stories in me, and they all kind of diverge, and none of them are meant to do one thing. You know, they're not meant to be one thing. But to me, it doesn't matter. The medium doesn't matter. Video right now is just the most practical thing. It's easy. I can tell a story really quickly. I can do it by myself. There's not a ton of friction of me telling someone a story. It's just sit, record, put out. And that's it. That's the story told. There's not editing. I mean, obviously there is editing, but there's not like editing thousands of lines of text. There's not, you know, there's just not anything in the way of me telling someone a story. After that, it's execution. It's like finesse. It's figuring out the little details. I wanted the video that I put out yesterday, I wanted to do more like a Ryan George style, where like I was gonna just be the one conversation of the Billy that calls in and says, hey, we got a problem. And I was gonna play both parts, but I don't have like the setting for it. I don't have like an office, and I don't have a green screen set up, and I have not played around with green screen yet, not in any sort of serious sense. So we'll get to that. That'll be a future video. But yeah, no, it's really just been it's been just a process. I'm trying to think, when I was young, if I had like aspirations to be something, and I really don't think I ever did. I mean, real talk, when I was 15, right around 15, I think I decided I was gonna have a major company. I mean, like, we're talking major, big boys, like with the alphabets of the world. And we were gonna, now don't tell anyone, but we were gonna go deep into biology, and we were gonna create superheroes. Don't tell nobody though, it's just between us, right? That's just between us. That was the original plan, right? And listen, maybe in the future, who knows? Maybe Nexus grows to a degree where we'll also give biology a whirl, but I think right now we're just gonna tell some stories about superheroes. As I'm editing, I realized that question was, who inspires you to do what you enjoy, as in creating content? And I genuinely don't know if anyone does. Like, no, like one specific person. I look at people like Hodis, I look at people like Peter McKinnon, I look at people like, they do cool stuff, and then I'm like, oh, like, I want to do cool stuff. But beyond that, like, just the general, like, making something, like, I don't know, I honestly don't. I'm a self-starter, right? That's on the resume. I'm a self-starter. So that's where that is. Just wanted to throw that in real quick. Yeah, I mean, just like when I see cool people do cool stuff. I think we'll end it there. That's all the questions. I appreciate all the questions. If you got more, I feel like, I don't know if I talked a lot about this week, but I think besides Thursday, think every video is good. I think it produced the information that it needed to. The 1 Minute Wednesday was the only challenging video this week, honestly, because that was really, really last minute. I was trying to figure out what I wanted, and that's been not a lot, but like, some of these videos have been like, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm going to film, but I'm just like, I have that framework. I have that like box that we talked about. I have that box, and I just kind of let that rattle. And I'm playing Overwatch. What the hell am I talking about? Who's playing Overwatch? Anybody playing Overwatch around here? As I'm saying, I'm playing Apex. Wow, that was some subliminal, like my brain wants to play Overwatch apparently. My insides want to play Overwatch. No, playing Apex, and you know, I'm just looking around on the internet, and it just comes. It just shows up, and it's like, oh yeah, we had this thought before. Let's polish it up and do it. I mean, yeah, the 1 Minute Wednesday, it was just like I had to do it all earlier, and I was just like kind of down to the wire, and I was like, what am I, like I gotta do this video. What am I gonna do this video about? And I had thought about doing a video about free resources and stuff like that, which, by the way, that post will be going up tomorrow. I wanted to give the podcast post a day to breathe, but I will be posting the resource post on Monday tomorrow, and yeah, make sure you check that out. That's all I've got for this one. If you have any follow-up questions, if you have any other questions, make sure you drop them down below. But that, yeah, we're gonna call it a day here. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow with the tech review. The light? One of the lights? We'll see.